What's going on, traders? Andrew O'Connell with Pristine Capital coming at you with yet another market recap video. It is May 11th, 2021. Please click the like button on this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy this content, and I will continue to make it for you. It really helps the channel. And I appreciate, all the kind words from everyone who watches the videos, all that stuff. It is awesome to know that, people are watching and they're getting some value from it. So thank you. Today we're going to talk about the price action in the indices. We're going to go under the hood and check out the sectors and the style factors. We'll talk about some of my trades for the day. Roblox, which is a company that I've been doing a lot of work on. They reported earnings, so we'll talk about that one as well. And then we'll wrap up with some options order flow. Before we jump in, a quick risk disclaimer. Nothing in this video should be construed as investment advice or recommendations. Please follow your own trading plan and your own risk parameters. And last but certainly not least, do not YOLO your entire account into any one of my trades. All right, let's jump right into it. So, what happened today? So today, for our box scores, we had S&P 500 finish down at 0.89% as measured by the SPY. We had the NASDAQ QQQ finish down 0.14%. We had the IWM small caps close down 0.32%. And we had the Dow Jones actually lagged today for the first time in quite a while, down 1.39%. So, going back to our video from yesterday, I talked about, hey, I flipped to a net short position. The market just doesn't really seem favorable from a risk reward standpoint here. So coming into today's session, I was net short. I felt, prepared for the day. And this morning it looked like, oh my gosh, this is really ugly. The headline indices were down like 2.5% a piece, and it was like either right at the open or even before the open. So I was like, oh my gosh, could we have like a ridiculous like 3% down day or something like that? It really looked like we had the makings of a true washout. And I would say the past couple days have been a washout for a lot of the high growth areas of the market. You'll see, I'll pull up some charts in a minute, but the way that I can tell if something is really like a washout is, you can see it'll be a multi-standard deviation event away from that 20-day simple moving average. So we'll pull that up. We saw a lot of those. Anyway, today did not end up being that crazy washout. You can see on our ES here, it got pretty scary there. We tagged this monthly value area low at 4,108.75. And we actually traded just a little bit lower than that. But you can see we auctioned up throughout the session. And if we pull up the SPY instead, that's how you'll get, a good look at what actually happened, during trading hours. Because when you look at the ES, that candle includes everything from like 6 p.m. on the open of overnight futures all the way into the morning. This is, just includes 9:30 to 4. So you can see throughout the trading day, we ended up closing higher, and we put in a green candle. But flipping back to this ES here, levels I'm going to be watching, because now at this point we're below the 5-day EMA. We're also below the 20-day simple moving average, and we're stuck in this monthly value area. Interestingly enough, the seasonality data for May shows, hey, it's typically a pretty choppy market. And when you look at really what we've done since mid-April, this really is just a big sideways chop, with some downside moves and upside moves. So we're kind of living up to that May seasonality. I'm going to continue to watch this monthly value area low here at 4108.75. If we get a definitive close below that level, hey, I need to be even more defensive or aggressively on the short side. But so long as we trade in this monthly value area, I think we can play both sides of the market. I think that's going to be a lot of, buying the dips and selling the rips. That's sort of what I did today. And we'll go through that when I go through my trades. But yeah, I ended up covering pretty much all my shorts as we were in this like capitulation zone right here. And I ended up adding a few longs throughout the day. But yeah, if we pull up the NASDAQ, it only closed down 0.3%. So I think this shows, hey, maybe there was some capitulation here. But yeah, throughout the day, it was pretty much everyone buying up the NASDAQ. So when we think about yesterday, like, oh my gosh, inflationary scare, XYZ, today it was just everyone buying technology and selling their inflationary assets. So my thought is we're going to have an inflation print tomorrow. What I'm thinking is that print is probably priced into the market to a high degree, unless we get something that's like bonkers, like, oh my God, this increased like 5% month over month. I do think that this growth bounce could have a little bit more in it. So Qs, although this is technically pretty broken, we had a nice little bounce today. I'm going to keep watching this virgin point of control down here at 12,857 on the downside. And I think this 50-day moving average is a good, level to watch on the upside. And really quick, because we've been talking about these indices for too long here, Russell continues to chop sideways. Broke down today, but yeah, buyers came in for this one as well. And then the Dow Jones, this one had a big pullback today. It was actually sold during the session. So the Dow Jones, when we came in, it was like, okay, this is the only index that looks like it's doing okay. And then everything reversed throughout the day, where it was like, sell all the inflation proxies, buy all the duration, like long duration proxies. So really interesting. To me, that says the market priced in the inflation. And another thing, like for me heuristically, is when something unexpected happens, and so like with these tech stocks, everyone's caught off guard. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize it, but these are so bearish, and they get pushed lower. When something is putting in like a deep red candle, that's where you're going to get the forced liquidations. The people that had no intent of selling for fundamental reasons, but they just have to sell because it hits their stop, or they have some sort of margin pressure, that sort of stuff. So when that index is down, like the NQ was this morning, down 2.5%, that's when I go, oh my gosh, we could really slip into the abyss, as I always say. The fact that we were down, and all these growth investors must have been like on the mat this morning, just like completely dead. And we were able to rally back like that. That a lot of times signals like, okay, a lot of the people that were going to capitulate, likely did capitulate. So we'll see how it plays out. Well, let's jump in here. Market breadth, really poor market breadth today. But funny enough, the NASDAQ had the best breadth of all, 49% advancers. Looking at our heat map, you can see, bright red across the screen. Energy was a big underperformer. And some of these tech areas of the market actually turned green. So I noticed that in the morning, like Tesla, for instance, when I opened this heat map up, this was down like 8.5%. So it was like, Jesus, like what is going to happen today with Tesla? So the fact that this rallied so hard, I think that's a relatively encouraging sign. But yeah, you can see a couple names, and I think it's so important to pay attention what is strong on these days when every investor is pretty much on their back. I think that's very important to take note of. But yeah, overall, pretty red day in the markets. Sectors, this is also very important. And this is going to be, over the next couple days, for all Pristine Capital members, I'm going to be watching this like a hawk. Because I do think, hey, a lot of these inflationary exposures, especially depending on the print we get tomorrow for CPI, I want to track in real time, where's the money actually flowing now? Because you can see gold miners have moved to the top of our list. How many investors do you know that are overweight gold miners? Probably not that many. I'm certainly not. Might have to change that. We'll see. But yeah, the areas that got bounces today, we had the ARK funds, all positive. And again, to me, that's like, these things had every reason to just completely dump. You can see their monthly performances are horrible, but we ended up closing in the green. Solar energy as well. Chinese equities, which have been horrible. Yeah, so bounces in all the names that everyone has been panicking about over the past couple days. The areas that were the weakest, we had this global autos, very weak. We had home builders, very weak. So some big profit taking there. Let's actually pull up the chart. The risk of making this video a little bit too long, I just think there's a lot to cover today, actually. Sometimes when I make this video, there's actually like not all that much to go through. It'll be like, okay, the market was up 0.3% today, whatever. But when the market's very volatile, there's actually a lot more information in here. And yeah, you can see that home builders sold off on high volume. So yeah, some profit taking there. The other thing I noticed, lumber, which has been like the poster child for inflation. Lumber closed on the lows today, and it put in, what looks like a topping candle on high volume. And this has been one of those bellwethers of like, inflation's so high, look at what lumber is doing. What happens if lumber just comes back to earth here and tags this 20-day? In that scenario, a lot of these growth names could actually do pretty well. So I want to be on high alert for just how this plays out. So I think it might play out a way that not many are really expecting. Style factors, you can see here the momentum style factor was the only one that closed green. The weakest on the day, we had high beta, which was very weak, down 1.65%, and international momentum. And then the high div low vol, the really conservative investments that I noticed everyone was piled in yesterday are actually very weak today. All right, so let's take a quick look at some of my trades for the day. I'm going to pull these up over here. Let me just clip these. There we go. So some options trades for today. Like I said yesterday, I got in net short the market. So at 10 a.m., when I started to see, hey, the Qs look like they're putting up a fight here, I closed out my Qs short for 1937. I had paid 1807 for that. It's a nice little winner there. I was bailed out of my XLF puts. I had paid 238 for those. I closed those out for 211. I do believe XLF ends up closing much lower. At that point in the day, though, it looked like, okay, the cyclicals are showing strength versus growth. And then SPY, I also had a short position on in there. I closed out my 422 strike September puts for $23.37, and I had paid $17.54. So I had stopped out of all my shorts within about the first hour and a half of trade. So I was able to close a lot of these out, pretty much towards the lows of the day, which is a good thing. And that just allowed me to see everything a little bit more clearly, where coming into the day, it was like, okay, I'm up for the day with these short positions. So that really helped me mentally. Then I took some Crowdstrike calls long. Crowdstrike, this is such a no-brainer for me. The other day, my family lives in New York, so I went over there for Mother's Day. So in the car, I was just listening to different videos on like different stocks and all that stuff. In cybersecurity, I've become more interested in just because of the hack that happened the other day. So I started learning a little bit more about Crowdstrike. Yeah, Crowdstrike, they have, this software as a service technology for cybersecurity. I believe it's called Falcon. And, they're growing incredibly fast. I think they're used now at this point by over half of the Fortune 100 companies. So in terms of like, okay, growth stocks to buy on weakness, Crowdstrike is like, okay, this is going to be my go-to horse right here. Crowdstrike, I'm already long common stock as of yesterday. And I saw this one fighting to go green again. So at around like 190, I purchased these calls, and we had a nice strong close in Crowdstrike. Crowdstrike also has earnings coming up in a couple weeks. So I think in terms of strategy, some of these super oversold growth names, if okay, they have earnings coming up in 2 weeks, a lot of these, they're not sold down to these levels for fundamental reasons. They're sold down because there was just a bunch of forced liquidations. We all know that some of these companies, they're going to report good earnings. So there's going to be some players that As soon as those forced liquidations are done, they go, oh my gosh, Crowdstrike is so cheap, buy some of that. Or, some of these other names. So yeah, Crowdstrike, got long some calls there, kept those into the close. So yeah, Crowdstrike, I closed out a second third of my XLU calls for 284. I'd paid 257 for those down to my last piece. Took a target higher than that the other day. And then I took an earnings trade. So I got long Unity, ticker symbol U. I got long the May 21st 80 by 90 call spread for $4.45. Note to self, don't trade earnings when the market is just very calm and nothing is going on and the market's just like ripping higher. I feel like you almost have no edge when that's the case. Whereas for some of these names, I actually felt like I had some edge because they've been sold off with these forced liquidations. So this one I took for $4.45. And I just noticed that the gaming theme has been low-key showing a lot of strength. So Activision, everybody came into that one with super negative sentiment. Activision's done just fine after their earnings. Roblox, which I am long, just reported a good quarter as well. So I figured, hey, maybe Unity does the same. Earnings just came out a couple of minutes ago. And Unity, I see it's not really having a huge reaction. We'll have to see if it does anything tomorrow. But this name, as of right now, I'm in the money on my call spread. So my call spread's the 80 by 90. And I paid $4.45 for it. So above 84.45, that's where I make money on this call spread. As of right now, we're at 85.50. So we'll see how it trades tomorrow. And then for stock trades, where are we here? Okay, so for stock trades, I got long some Zim common shares at 35.50. I set my stop at 33.80. I ended up stopping out of that one towards the close. Zim, this one I still think could work, but I just want to remain disciplined, especially when the market, we're below those key moving averages. I don't want to hold anything that doesn't really work for me on day one, but this setup could still work. We'll see. So I stopped out of that one. Then what else here? I stopped out of Blade. This one, I did a lot of research on this company. I think their vision could play out over time. But this one, there must have been somebody getting like forced liquidated out of this one. I said this could be a purely technical sell-off that bounces right back to 10, but life is too short to stay in losers. Blade, yeah, you can see it closed at $7.79. The thing with Blade is they're not like a cash register of a company. They went public via SPAC. I don't think the valuations are ridiculous at all. But using their SPAC money, they're going to be building out infrastructure for their urban air mobility platform. And once that's built out, then they're going to expand into those areas. And then if they succeed in those areas, then it will justify the valuation that they went public with at $10. So that's like, if the price action is not working with me, I'm out. I would rather allocate to something better. So speaking of something better, I added to my Roblox position for $71.03. I said nice reaction to the earnings report in a market that's not rewarding high valuation growth stocks. Roblox, this is now my second largest position. I am so fascinated by this company. I absolutely love it. It is really, really cool. And I've spent a lot of time on this company. I love the CEO, Dave Baszucki. And you can see we had a nice day, up 21.33%. I added to my position at 71 and change. You can see we closed at 77. I have been just building a position in this name. It's still within the IPO base. But this company, there's still a lot of people that have so many misconceptions about it. there's a ton of bear cases around this company, and they're all super flimsy. One of the bear cases is like, oh, kids are going back to school, so they won't play video games anymore. Doesn't make any sense, really. The other one is their losses are getting bigger as they grow, and that's another one that doesn't make any sense. The cash flow from operations is superb. It's like a 33% margin. They just, on their income statement, they don't have positive net income, which to me, in my opinion, if a business is growing, I don't really want to see it have positive net income, because to me that tells me they're not investing fully back into their business if things are making it to the bottom line. So those are really like the two bear cases. I think this could end up being, a huge generational stock. And I love it. Like when I was going to New York, I spent a lot of time doing this over the past couple weeks. I've been listening to almost every interview that the CEO has ever done. And some of these are from like 5 years back, 3 years back, even longer than that. And this guy, he's got a really interesting vision of the metaverse. He's been building it over time, and he's really just now hitting escape velocity. They also have their own digital currency called Robux. It's not like you could buy it on like Coinbase or anything like that, but just the way they're going about everything is really smart, really thoughtful. I think this CEO, he's the right guy for the job. I just really like this company. They reported really strong earnings. So you can see here the revenue was up 140% over the prior year to 387 million. Huge increase in bookings. You can see they still have a net loss, but to me, that is what it is. I don't really care. Net cash provided by operating activities increased nearly 4 times. So yeah, it's just fantastic. They're aging up the platform. More people that are older are using it. So once I saw this, like, oh, those are really good numbers, and the market is actually really liking them. Because I want to make sure the market is confirming my view. I don't want to be that person. Like, if I'd stuck with Blade, it's like, well, I really like the company, but if the market doesn't, I'm not going to make any money off that. So Roblox, as I look at this, this volume that we saw, this is one of the highest volume days since this company started trading publicly. You can see it traded on 2.88 relative volume. So what this tells me is there were institutions today that were going, hey, this company Roblox, this is a really interesting company, and they were buying it. I think this is the kind of company where, I compare it to Twitter, where you're making content which is for text, YouTube, which is you're making video content, Snapchat, Shopify, you're making online stores. Roblox is a community around online games, and they are planning on expanding from that as well. So yeah, this company, when I look at it, these are outdated numbers because, with this new earnings release, the sales are going to be higher. This is going to push over $1 billion. But for instance, like, I'm going off on a tangent here, but Roblox as of right now, 923 million. Market cap is 33.76 billion. And they have a lot of positive cash flow. Snapchat, they have 2.81 billion in sales, and their market cap is 76 billion. And Snapchat, the other thing, they burn cash like there's no tomorrow. So like Roblox, I could see over time them growing that sales number and getting just as big as Snapchat or some of these other players. And when I look at the market cap, I'm like, and the market cap will likely be higher because Roblox prints cash. So this is my second largest position now. If we break out of this IPO base, I'm going to add to it one more time because these institutions, now that this name has their attention, this isn't the kind of thing where it's like, oh, all the institutions are in now. It takes institutions a long time to build their positions. So I think this one could really start on a super performance run. So we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, Roblox added to that position. And that's about it for my trades for today. Gonna go into tomorrow's session with an open mind. We'll see what happens. Let's pull up really quick the options order flow because this is ending up as a very long video. What I find that draws my attention the most, there were a lot of hedges that went up in the morning, and you can see really just a lot of hedging activity throughout the day. And I would say the names that really caught my eye, you can see there's some activity for Disney here, which we haven't seen in quite a while. Disney, yeah, and Disney, this one's not really all that exciting for me, but yes, some call buyers coming in. Disney's just been trading sideways for a couple months now. And then Berkshire B, there were some call buyers that came in. This name has really been on a tear, but I think there was just some profit taking in the financials today and those kinds of stocks. So I wouldn't be surprised if this one just kind of drifts down to the 20-day over the next couple days or weeks. That about does it for our options order flow, and that about does it for this market recap video. Hope you all had an awesome trading day, and I will see you all tomorrow.